Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Hope everyone's well wherever you are. Obviously, this part 2 of my ideas for how to attracting more investment into Italian football as a big Italian football fan. So as a creative dyslexic, I hope some of these ideas are good, and I'd love to hear other people's ideas, obviously, especially football and in particular Italian football fans. As I say, hopefully as many people out there as possible will enjoy this video, and please check out part 1 if you haven't done so, and hopefully you look out for part 3 when it comes out. So this is a continuation, another one of my list videos. Sorry for any existing subscriber or viewer of my channels, of my videos. But for any new person who might have stumbled across this video, I often do these list videos where I talk about a list of some ideas that I have, and I normally like to focus on 30 ideas for some reason. It's like, seems to be my favorite number. Anyway, it's not actually my favorite number. It's just a number which I use to organize my ideas. But as I say, I hope that you will share your own ideas or thoughts, and that as many fans of Italian football as possible will watch this video and share it, perhaps, and like it. And hopefully, maybe I'm being naive here, but maybe by even mentioning Italian football and helping it to trend and that kind of thing might help Italian football to become more lucrative and admirable or attractive, or whatever term you want to use, for potential investors. So here goes. So number 11, I think it'd be great if Italian football changed its perception, possibly became more attacking, played more younger players, and tried to learn from other leagues like the Premier League or the EPL, the English Premier League, or other leagues, like what they do well and what they don't do so well, as I mentioned in part 1, and look at what Italian football can change to change the perception of it being slow or boring or things like that. Maybe look at ways it can become as interesting and exciting as possible, and like market itself in Asia and Africa and around the world, and improve relations with the rest of the world through football and things like that. So hopefully, again, looking at what Italian football can change or alter about the way it goes about, and looks at the way it can change its business model. And as I said in part 1, again, look at ways it can offer tax incentives and things like that, which could hopefully help to attract investors. Number 12, hopefully when some investors come in to buy Italian teams, all being well, others will come in. I'd love to see as many of the world's billionaires as possible and the world's richest companies come in to buy different Italian teams and like compete with each other, and see, maybe have a friendly competition to see which one can outbid or maneuver, outmuscle others. So just like apparently billionaires have like competitions where they see who can buy the biggest yacht or things like that, they could see which one could spend the most money and win the most trophies. That could be something, or as a football fan, that's, I think, what we're really looking for. But also hopefully those world's billionaires, as quite competitive people, I'm sure, would also see that by winning trophies they can use that as like part of their pride. It can also perhaps raise the profile of their companies, so obviously they could use it for PR and things like that. Maybe some private investors or could invest for like tax purposes if the Italian government and politicians generally work together to offer the best tax incentives to invest in Italian football, which again will hopefully help Italian football to be more competitive and lucrative and things like that. But yeah, so I mentioned before like how I'd love, in some of my previous videos, about like how I'd love for say Jeff Bezos maybe to invest in AC Milan, and Elon Musk to invest in Inter Milan. So a lot of multi-billionaires and big companies have rivalries with each other. So perhaps this rivalry could push them to see if they could outbid each other and that sort of thing. Number 13, I know that Italian football, as I say, is seen as a bit slow and boring and too defensive or things like that. So I think that would take a bit, it might take longer than I hope to change. It may never change, maybe, or even if it does, perhaps it might always go back to being defensive or things like that. So even if change is made, like they might change back to the defensive ways and things like that. So when I heard Mourinho was going to Italian football, I was stuck in two minds, because I think that he does play outdated and boring defensive football and doesn't play the young players and things like that. So I thought that might be a step backwards in Italian football, and I thought it'd be good to see young up and coming attacking managers, more creative and inventive managers who want to play more creative, enterprising football. Could have been better, but on the other hand, he does have like a good brand and reputation which could attract some people to watch Italian football more, perhaps. And also, I suppose that he does win trophies, like in his first season, but or his first 2 seasons, but normally it falls apart after the 3rd season. So I think that is a bit of a bad move, but I'm not 100% sure how it will work out, but I'd hope it works out better than I think. But yeah, it would be great to see more new managers with new ideas, but playing more entertaining football, just like the national team did. Maybe Italian teams could do that and have a balance, still have defence, but obviously and still work on defence, but also look at ways to help the teams become more attacking. On that note, number 14, I think if Italian football, as they solves its problems and looks at ways it can still have a good defence and keep that culture and tradition and some of the cultures and traditions alive, but at the same time look to modernise and solve problems that it faces, like in terms of becoming more entertaining and getting more of a market overseas, and branding itself around the world, and looking at the best sponsorship deals and things like that. And again, learning from the Premier League, the English Premier League, and other leagues around the world. And also, maybe if Italian football solves problems through football, like fundraisers for events or things like that, it could also raise the profile. So it would make people think about Italian football more, and again, help Italian football to trend. People talk about it more. So hopefully that could help to attract investors as well. Number 15, I think it'd be great to see investors come in and talk about their 5 to 10 year plans and how they will plan to help Italian football to become the best league, hopefully, in the world, and how they intend to invest in youth and buying players, and how what those investors can offer, and also what the Italian league and politicians and council in Italy could work to help the Italian football authorities as well work with the government to look at ways to make Italian football more attractive to investors. And I think I mentioned this in part 1, but it would be great to host like summits and events, conferences, which would look at ways to listen to investors and talk to investors and talk about what sort of things they would want, like tax incentives or increased PR or access to markets in Italy or things like that. And maybe Italian companies themselves, like, look at what they can do to contribute and make themselves feel proud of their football teams and things like that. So local companies investing, and again, making Italian football the lowest giving the lowest possible tax league that it can be. And number 16, I think it would be great to have a committee or think tank of former players as well as current players, managers, coaches, and whoever else can be involved to talk about ways to improve Italian football, and maybe bring in people like Zidane to who was at Juventus to come back to maybe have a coaching role and ambassadorial role, like former players, like people like Kaká and Ronaldinho and players like that or former players could be used by AC Milan and clubs like that, which they played for. People, I know already there are some players like that, but they could use all the possible former players to be ambassadors and also to coach the youth, and have as many sports clubs and academies around the world as possible. Hopefully that would be one of my dreams as well. Number 18, I think it'd be great if Italian football talked about the positive things, like how Italy's won 4 World Cups and 2 Euros, and obviously the most recent one, and also how Italian clubs were really successful in the 80s and 90s, and I think it was the 80s and 90s, and how they could perhaps capitalize on that former success to bring back those glory days, and to accentuate the positives and look at like the passion that Italians have for football, and how different owners could come in and become heroes and hopefully attract the best possible managers and coaches, players and academies and things like that. Again, having academies around the world, especially in Italy itself. Number 19, I hope that people can discuss how to address some of the problems facing Italian football and look at ways to like tackle corruption and crime through football and things like that. And number 20, I think another idea I had was like Juventus and other Italian teams could look at ways to say, if people behave and they stay out of trouble, like young people who are at risk of getting involved in crime, if they behave well, they can become part of the academy as a reward, or they can get to play at football grounds as a reward for good behaviour. Even people in prison could perhaps be released early if they behave themselves, and look at ways to tackle corruption and crime generally. And also welcome migrants who come to Italy through football, give them opportunities to play like Roma has done, but other Italian teams could do the same. And a controversial idea is clubs that can be a bit racist or very racist, like Lazio or Verona apparently can be quite racist. I should be careful what I say, I think, because I love all the Italian teams. I don't want to offend anyone as well, but I wonder if they focus more on building good football teams rather than racing. Maybe they could have something to be proud of, something more to be proud of. I hope that made sense. And again, I'd love to hear what you think, and hope I made some sort of sense and came up with some good ideas, at least as a creative dyslexic. And I am out. Peace and love.